Hey guys, today I'm gonna do my wrap up for the second half of January. So in the second half of January, I read 6 things. 2 of these were novellas and the other 4 were all full-length novels. No audiobooks this time around. What? And I also DNF'd 3 books that I want to talk about quickly at the end of the video. So first in the second half, I read A Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. This was so great. This was exactly what I wanted from it. So this is obviously the story about the daughter of the Pirate King, and she is a pirate herself. She has her own pirate ship and her own crew, and she gets on this like other pirate ship. She lets herself get kidnapped basically because there is like a map hidden. So she kind of uses this kidnapping thing to get on the ship and to search for that map. And on that ship she has this kind of thing with one of the pirates, and yeah, it's just, I love these kinds of stories and I just love this book. I love the main character so much. She is absolutely amazing, and what I really appreciated about her is that while I obviously love Lila Bart, I think it was really great to see this character who is a pirate but is like super feminine and she loves wearing dresses. I mean, the book starts with, I hate having to dress like a man. So yeah, I just really appreciated that. I obviously don't have anything against, you know, any other portrayal. I just thought this was a little bit new and something refreshing in that kind of genre. I think this is a great book if you like books about pirates, but the romantic storyline in this is definitely a strong one, which is why I loved it. But I think if you're someone who doesn't really like romantic storylines in piratey books especially, I don't really think this is going to be the book for you, because it is a very strong theme in the book. I loved it. I think it was just a great mix of like piratey stuff and of this development of the relationship. I think there were a couple of other really great side characters, and I just had such a great time reading it. Like, I had so much fun. I gave Daughter of the Pirate King 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I finally read Winterglass, and I have to say I think this is overall a super interesting concept. It has this really intricate world building and I think it could be really great, but it's just too short because it is a novella, or I'm not sure if it's really a novella, maybe it's like a novelette or whatever that's called. I think it has like around 180 pages maybe, and it felt like this was a chunk of a book. It felt like it was a part of a book that kind of was just taken out of the story and then delivered to us in this novella. Like, I liked everything that I read about. I just thought that there was not enough time to really explore it. When I finished the book, I still did not understand how the world worked. I still couldn't really say what the plot is about even. That's also a lot because I think the writing is kind of complex. I just think there were so many things in it that were all interesting and or intriguing and that had potential, but there was just not enough time to really get into it. And so everything kind of seemed a little bit all over the place and just too complex for this kind of form of story. I have to say, I think as far as diversity goes, it's great. This is a world where there is basically no heteronormativity or like even cis-normativity, like just like doesn't matter at all. There is a female-female romance. I think maybe all of them are people of color. I think if you're someone who looks for that, then you could definitely check this out. I just think that there wasn't enough for me to really like this. I don't like when the world, well, I do like when the world is complex, when there's enough time to explore it and when we can really dedicate a huge chunk of the book to that world, but that just can't happen in such a short book. So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because I just feel like I wasn't really having a good time while reading it because I just constantly had to be so focused and concentrated. Then I read The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is an arc that I got, and this is my first 5-star read of the year. Yes! I love this book so much. I've already done a full review on it, so I'm gonna leave it in the description and in the info card so you can check it out if you're interested. But I just thought this was a really great book, and it's a debut. I'm like, oof, what? I really thought this was such an amazing, great read. It's the kind of fantasy that I really love, the kind of fantasy that I would recommend to you if you like books like the Graceling Realm trilogy, Remnant Chronicles, the Study trilogy, just all these kinds of fantasies. I think if you like them, you will probably really enjoy The Queen's Rising. I thought the biggest strength of this book was its simplicity, and I said it in my review. I think a couple of people will find that boring, and that's totally fair, but this is exactly what I loved about it. It does not rely on basically any tropes. It really has a lot of like political stuff, and I just really like when fantasy stories have kind of political things. It's slow for the most part. There's a couple of actiony things happening, but for me it was a good kind of slow. It was just exactly what I love, and it was just exactly what I was looking for in the moment when I read it. I'm so glad that I did read it. I really loved it. I think it's absolutely wonderful. It's not as good as Graceling, because is there anything that's as good as Graceling? But I definitely found myself having a lot of like similar feelings than I had when I read the Graceling Realm trilogy. And I've been saying it since I read the books. I'm looking for books that make me feel the same way. And there barely ever is any book. Like, even if I think it's similar, or you know, the world building is similar, or the characters are similar, there's barely ever anything that gives me the same feelings that I still can't describe that the Graceling Realm trilogy gives me. But this one came very, very close. I think even closer than the His Fair Assassin trilogy. I can't describe it. It's very simple. It's nothing super special or anything new. It's a concept you will have seen before, but I just thought it was well done. I thought the world building was very interesting. I can't wait to see more of it. I like the characters. I was very emotionally invested in the romantic storyline, in the friendships, but also in the family kind of relationships. Like, there's a found family theme in there that is pretty strong. I was so invested. I cried. Wow, surprise. I know at this point when I say I cried, it's nothing special anymore, but it was weird for me to cry at the points where I did. So yeah, I got invested real quick. I think it was a great read. I would highly, highly recommend it. If you want to know more, check out my review. And I gave The Queen's Rising, obviously, 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Magic Study by Maria V. Snyder. This is the second book in the Study trilogy series. I always get these different names for all of the different trilogies and the whole series. Yeah, I think the whole series is called whatever, doesn't matter. It's the sequel to Poison Study. I really, really enjoyed it. I still think these books are slow. They are very slow, but this one just wasn't as painfully slow as the beginning of Poison Study was for me. I think I was just kind of expecting it to be slow, and I kind of knew what was coming, so I was able to deal with it a little bit better. Honestly, reading this makes me see why there are so many books in this kind of world, because it is a super intriguing, really intricate world that needs this amount of books. Like, I can see how you could fill 9 books with this world and with the story surrounding all of this. I think that's really, really great. There's so many great characters in here. I think the characters are mostly what kind of makes the story go forward for me. I think the world building is interesting, but I don't really think that's what would keep me reading. I think that's definitely the characters. But overall, I think this is just a really great trilogy. I can't wait to continue. Also, this is just something that I feel like hits the vein of fantasy that I just really, really enjoy. And yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I think this is just a great trilogy. More kissing though. More kissing. I can't believe we had to wait so long for that one character to show up again. Oh my god. Anyway, I gave Magic Study 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Morrigan by Mary E. Pearson. This is a novella that kind of belongs to the Remnant Chronicles, and it is a prequel story. I still don't know how to describe it, but if you've read the Remnant Chronicles, you can probably kind of imagine what this novella is about. I was so pleasantly surprised. I honestly was not expecting to be this invested in this novella. Now, I love reading novellas, and there's a reason why I constantly kind of pick them up, but still I was not expecting to be invested in this, because this, while it is a prequel novella, is completely kind of cut off from any of the characters in the Remnant Chronicles. I wasn't really sure what to expect from it and if I would enjoy it, but I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's basically a love story, but it's a really, really great one. And I think if you in general like these kinds of stories and you like the Remnant Chronicles, I think it's absolutely worth a read. I think it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And finally, this month, I read my favorite book of the month. And I read a lot of great stuff. Obviously already had 5 stars in here. But then I read Echo After Echo by Amy Rose Capetta. And this blew me away so much that this is the first book that I put on my top books of 2018 list. I always just keep a Goodreads shelf of my top books so that throughout the year I can already add stuff to it so that I don't forget and have to go all the way back, and I already start ranking the stuff. And yeah, this is the book that I made that list for. This was absolutely wonderful. I mean, I finished it yesterday at the point where I'm filming it. I still need to recover from it. This had everything that I hoped it would have. It had an amazing female-female romance that I absolutely loved. It had a great cast of characters. The mystery was really interesting, and just looking at the kind of reveal of it, you're just like, holy shit, that is so much deeper than I thought it was. Like, you will probably think throughout the novel, oh yeah, it might be this person or it might be that person, but when you finish it, you're like, okay, I don't think anybody will see that coming, because yeah, but my absolute favorite aspect was the theater aspect. I just think there were so many great and real things in this. I've talked a little bit about that I also am like having to do with theater, and that obviously I'm doing like a musical theater degree, and that I really appreciate stories that talk about how hard it can be and how it can be like really frustrating when you have a time where you're not feeling well, even though you are doing your dream job, or if you have moments where everybody is just being an asshole to you and you're just like, I just want to leave, like leave me the fuck alone, but you know that this is the way you have to go to kind of accomplish what you want to accomplish. All these kinds of things, and this book dealt with it in an absolutely amazing way. I just absolutely loved it. I loved everything this book did about theater and about being an actor and about working in a kind of theater environment. Oh my god, I just loved it. And there's also like a little bit of a discussion of men in the business and how they think they are super entitled, and in general how a lot of the people that work with you in this business will think they have a certain amount of entitlement over your body, or they think they are allowed to touch you at any time because you're just acting. Ugh. Fuck, it's so good. Oh my god, just so fucking good. Like, there was this one part in it, I even remember which page it was on, because I was so fucking amazed. And like, it's a super simple quote, but it's especially with like recent discussions about abuse in Hollywood as well. Just listen to me, okay? Just listen to this. And I'm not gonna say who it is exactly about, because that would, I think, spoil it a little bit if you're sensitive, but still. So a character says, that man is an art monster. An art monster is someone who gives his entire life over to creation. He doesn't give a shit about the people he uses or the problems he creates. And he's brilliant. We don't think we're supposed to stop brilliant men. We think we're supposed to worship them. We all play our roles so well. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done. This book did so many good things and I loved it so much. This is a book that speaks to my soul and that can speak for my soul. Just want to... I can't. I loved it a lot. I think it was so great. I think you can tell that Amy Rose Capetta herself has done a lot of theater. She knows exactly what the fuck is up. Fucking loved it. I mean, the mystery aspect is there, but like compared to other things this novel does, it's not even special, because the other things just blew my fucking mind. I love this book. 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, oh my god, yes. And now quickly, I know this video is already long, just quickly, the 3 books that I DNF'd. The first one I DNF'd was Weave a Circle Round by Carrie Marin. I just thought this was entirely too weird. I expected some weird from it, but it was a all over the place kind of weird, and I just wasn't into it. And I think I got around a quarter into it and just haven't really felt like the story had moved forward at all. I didn't like the characters, so I DNF'd it. Then I DNF'd the girl before. This was just fucking horrible. Honestly, I'm just fucking done with thrillers being sexist and misogynistic. This was just not great. I can't even go into detail. I just thought that it was kind of disgusting and I just didn't want to read about it. I read a couple of reviews to kind of figure out how the whole situation would develop because I DNF'd it rather quickly, but like lots of people were saying that this was kind of trying to combine a thriller with 50 Shades of Grey, which I already got that kind of mood and the attitude from the male character, so I was just like, no thank you, I'm not into that. And then finally I sadly DNF'd Hamilton and Peggy by L.M. Eliot. I just thought this is a book that definitely tries to cash in on the whole Hamilton phenomenon, and it's inspired by it, but it doesn't feel like it's really something new. Peggy still feels like a side character in her very own novel, and we read from her perspective, but she does not really have her own storyline, at least not a quarter into the book, which at that point she should have had her own storyline. And then also, you know, it's like Hamilton and Peggy, a revolutionary friendship. Alexander Hamilton does not even show up until a third into the book, and I kind of looked it up and kind of wanted to see how the friendship would develop, so I kind of skim read until 50%. Their whole friendship is about Peggy helping him to get to know Eliza. So even there, she does not really have her own storyline, and apparently there's gonna be like a romantic storyline for her in there. And I know a lot of people have said that they find Peggy like really strong and everything in it. I didn't see it. I don't think that she was her own person. I wouldn't really recommend it. I know I haven't finished it, but I don't think that it has enough new stuff to keep you engaged. So yeah, that is everything that I read in the second half of January. Let me know how your whole month was going, and thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!